Ohio State is expected to hire Tyler Bowen to be its new offensive line coach. Let's talk about what this means for the Buckeyes and why I think this is a really good home run hire by Ryan Day. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, thank you for joining us. We talk college football 365 days a year, 24/7 around here. If you like what you're watching, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think that Tyler Bowen is a good fit for Ohio State? I think that he is. I really do. It is a young, rising star of a head coach in waiting, I think. It's a guy who's worked for a lot of really great head coaches in the past and has spent some time here recently with Virginia Tech, which I'm sure you're familiar with as an offensive coordinator, but was an interim offensive coordinator and offensive assistant at Penn State for James Franklin. But what I think is more interesting here is coach tight ends for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Urban Meyer. So there you got that. You've also got him helping Towson get to national championship appearance 2013, number 2 ranking in the FCS, which, by the way, is no small feat, having just a little bit of an interaction with Towson as a program. And then my favorite part, man worked for Ralph Friedgen. Now, college football diehards, no Ralph Friedgen because, well, Maryland and Ralph Friedgen, that's what it is, baby. 2001, that championship. I have a tremendous amount of respect for folks that can hearken all the way back to some of the guys that we think of as old guard now. But at the time, were kind of the Ryan Days to James Franklin of their day. And you're also adding a guy to your staff that not only knows how to coach offensive line, coach tight ends, coach quarterbacks, has worked with damn near everybody on the offensive side of the ball. You're adding a young star who's just 35 years old and a new set of ideas to what I think is already existing and cool program in Ohio State that is trying to defend its national championship. I think this goes a long way toward Ryan Day also continuing to build the kind of staff that gets elevated elsewhere, like we've seen with at least 2 of the last 3 big name coaches that we've seen leave the university. So Chip Kelly goes to Vegas Raiders, and he's getting $6 million a year to do that, call plays. Then you get Justin Fry, the previous offensive line coach, who, for my estimation, survived what was, I think, a really challenging year for him on that offensive line to get the Arizona Cardinals. People forget the job that I think Justin Fry did in 2024 outside of perhaps Ohio State. He loses his starting center. He loses his starting left tackle. He has to play essentially 3 guards to one side of the line of scrimmage and 4 guards altogether. That's no small feat to get to a national championship with that, man. Josh Simmons, who's probably going to be a first-round draft pick. Donovan Jackson slides over, and he's probably going to be a first-round draft pick. Seth McLaughlin, he goes down with the injury, so you got to bring back some guys and really put together what many thought was a patchwork line that not only held up, but was really damn good when it counted in the last 4 games of their season, right? The postseason where you win every game or you got to go home and you don't win nothing at all. With their backs against the wall, they did a really great job. Tyler Bowen knows that he's stepping into that kind of a position where you got to be able to move those kinds of pieces around. And I'm sure that not only you're going to be able to add some more to whatever the blocking schemes might be going forward, but also you know what the franchise is going to be. It's going to be young at the quarterback position, which means you got to be really talented at the offensive line position to help him get through at least the first half of the season before you can understand what Julian's saying. Or for those of y'all that still believe in him, Lincoln Kingholtz, or for those of y'all that are already on to the new guy, Tavian St. Clair can do. Either way, it's going to be the youngest starter at quarterback that Ohio State has had since C.J. Stroud's first year. And that's some time ago now. As we continue to talk about who could be the defensive coordinator and the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, many expect those to be in staff hires, like just elevate from within. I know there's a lot of folks that believe in Matt Gary. There's a lot of folks that believe in Tim Walton. Could be a co-DC kind of situation where I could see Gary calling the plays. On the offensive side, all signs are pointing to a guy like Brian Hartline. I realize that there's those of y'all that are reporting yourselves anonymously that Brian Hartline already got the job. Okay, I mean, when that happens, if that happens, we will talk about it, but I would not be so inclined to just run with that because no one else, including myself, has confirmed such a thing. it may come to pass. It might be okay. If you want to feel right about it, that's great. I know that there are a lot of folks, especially in February, that are talking college football with me that want to feel as if I got something, I know something because I watch all these other shows about college football, specifically the Buckeyes. But I want to be right. I don't want to be early. I don't want to be early and wrong. I want to be right about this. So this isn't a prediction, right? These are reported details that I think we need to really be honest about. Outside of Heartline, who else could it be, right? That's the other question. It could be any number of folks. Like, I would not be surprised to find out that Will Stein got a phone call from Ryan Day at Oregon. Perhaps there's something that you could do. I mean, he did go to Oregon to go get the running backs coach in Carlos Lachlan last year when you saw Tony Alford up and go to Michigan. I think there's also the desire for Kevin Wilson to get back into the fold. Maybe that's something you want to do. I'm not so sure. Maybe it's time for Ryan Day to pass on those play calling privileges to somebody who is not his mentor, somebody who did not train him in the game. But that also remains to be seen. Just because we get an offensive coordinator does not mean we get the guy that's going to be the play caller being the offensive coordinator as well. We see that often, right? We saw that with Gus Malzahn at Central Florida. We see that with Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. And the head coach play caller is a guy that you can expect to compete for championships, but how often and for how long, I don't know, right? Could Ryan Day have called Lincoln Riley? Sure. Could he have called Steve Sarkisian since we're here? There's only so much of this that we can push, right? Now, sometimes it's just as simple as we got the guy that we like, so we're going to promote him because it's his time. You also got ready-made dudes to take over in other spots. Like if you want to keep Brian Hartline, you want to keep him wide receivers coach, that's great. But you could also go with a guy like Billy Fessler, make him the wide receivers coach or coaching the quarterbacks. But a guy like Tyler Bowen also makes you feel better about whatever decision it is that you want to make because it's once again another guy who has done a lot of different things at a lot of different places. Notably, Penn State, right? He had two stints, one as a grad assistant and then another in 2018 when he was coaching the tight ends and was their offensive recruiting coordinator and the guy that mostly helped bring in guys like Tyler Warren a little bit later on. In 2020, he got promoted to co-offense coordinator, and then he goes to Jacksonville Jaguars with Urban in 2021, ends up at Virginia Tech 2022, coaching for Brent Pry. I think in as far as what we can expect from him to hit the ground running, I think there's everything that's there, right? You know what players you have. They know what players you have. And I think knowing that you're going to have that set of eyes in the film room is going to go a long way. Everybody that I've talked to about Tyler Bowen says the same thing. The man knows ball. He coaches great ball. That's what you want, right? You need a ball coach. You need a dude that understands not just blocking schemes, but how they work in concert with whatever your passing attack might be or what your play action might be, and also work to the strengths of your quarterback and, frankly, to his weaknesses. I think it's going to take a veteran offensive line to help get Julian Sand through these first few weeks, but we're also not going to learn a whole lot about this Ohio State team until August 31st when they got to play Texas. Texas comes to them with Arch Manning and so forth, so on, and spring ball doesn't even start for them until like the second week of March, so they might not even finish until the first week of May, and we're still not sure that they're even going to have a spring game. So everything right now is moving, and there are a lot of pieces that are being put together, but I did want to get out here and talk a little bit about Tyler Bowen and this offensive line coaching hire that I think is really good for the Buckeyes and really great for Ryan Day.